What if the arm that saved your life was actually designed to control it? What if your own father turned you into a weapon without you even knowing? And what if the only way to break free was to embrace the very thing that was meant to enslave you? This is the story of Nira Kael, and everything you think you know about her is wrong. Picture this. You're standing on the edge of a crumbling tower 300 feet above the streets of Helion. The wind cuts through your jacket like a blade, and below you the city pulses with electric veins of neon light. This isn't just any city. This is where dreams come to bottom and legends are forged in blood. Her name is Nira Kael, 24 years old, street-born, battle-hardened, and right now she's staring into that electric maze below with eyes that have seen too much for someone her age. But here's what makes Nira different, Ed. It's not just the scar that runs from her left temple down to her jaw. It's not even the way she moves like a predator sizing up prey. It's her arm, her left arm, the one that shouldn't exist. 3 years ago, that arm was crushed beyond repair in a gang fight that should have killed her. Today, it's a masterpiece of biomechanical engineering. They call it the phantom arm, carbon fiber bones, neural responsive synthetic muscle, and enough crushing power to snap steel bars like breadsticks. But every gift comes with a price, and Nira's about to discover hers. Helion is a city of contradictions. Skyscrapers pierce the clouds while shanties huddle in their shadows. Corporate executives sip synthetic wine in penthouse suites, while street fighters bleed for pocket change in underground arenas. It's a place where you can buy cutting-edge cybernetic implants on one block and get stabbed for your shoes on the next. And somewhere in this concrete jungle, the most dangerous tournament in human history is about to begin. The Ascension Tournament. They say it's where the strongest fighters on Earth come to prove themselves, where legends are born and weaklings are buried. But Nira knows better. For her, this tournament out isn't about glory or prize money. It's about revenge. You see, the man who runs this tournament, the shadow puppet master pulling all the strings, is Nira Kael, crime lord, syndicate boss, and the father who abandoned Nira when she was 7 years old. She spent 17 years preparing for this moment, 17 years turning herself into a weapon. And now, with the phantom arm coursing with power at her side, she's ready to collect on a debt that's been accumulating interest for far too long. But as Nira climbs down from that tower and disappears into the neon-soaked streets below, she has no idea that her entire life has been orchestrated, that every choice she thinks she's made has been guided by invisible hands, that the arm she trusts with her life might be the very thing that destroys her. The tournament begins in 72 hours. The strongest fighters from across the globe are already arriving. Underground betting rings are setting odds. Corporate sponsors are writing checks with more zeros than most people see in a lifetime. And somewhere in the depths of Helion, machines are humming to life, preparing for a signal that will change everything. Nira Kael thinks she's hunting her father, but the truth is far more terrifying. She's not the hunter in this story, she's the prey. And the trap has been set for over 2 decades. The city sleeps, but its heartbeat never stops. Tomorrow the real game begins. And by the time it's over, either Nira will have her revenge or she'll discover that some family legacies are too dark to escape. Welcome to Helion, welcome to the Ascension Tournament, and welcome to a story where the line between salvation and damnation is thinner than a razor's edge. 3 blocks from the tournament registration center, in a warehouse that smells like motor oil and sweat, Nira throws her 100th punch of the morning. Her training partner hits the ground hard, again. "Get up, Marcus," she growls, flexing the fingers of her phantom arm. "The real fighters won't go down that easy." Watching from the shadows is Veshin Dry, 53 years old, former rebel commander. Current pain in Nira's ass, and the closest thing to family she's had since her father disappeared. "You're fighting angry again," Veshin calls out, his gravelly voice cutting through the warehouse. "Anger makes you predictable. Predictable gets you dead." Nira spins around, her eyes blazing. "Predictable, I just put Marcus through the floor with 1 punch. And if Marcus was Nira Kael, if he knew exactly how your rage works, how it blinds you." Veshin steps closer, his scarred face serious. "Your father didn't become the most feared man in Helion by accident, kid. He studies his enemies. He knows their weaknesses before they do." The words hit harder than any physical blow. Because deep down, Nira knows he's right. But here's what she doesn't know. Here's the secret that's been eating at her for 3 years, buried in the deepest corners of her memory. The night she got the phantom arm wasn't random. Let me take you back. Picture a 17-year-old Nira, cocky and reckless, running with the Chrome Serpents gang. They were hitting a weapons cache belonging to the rival Scorched Earth crew. Should have been easy money, should have been in and out. Instead, it was a setup. The building exploded. Steel beams came down like the fist of an angry god, and Nira's left arm was crushed so badly that bone fragments pierced through skin like broken glass. She remembers waking up in what looked like a medical facility. But this wasn't any hospital. The walls were too clean, the equipment too advanced, and the man standing over her wore a lab coat that cost more than most people's cars. "Hello, Miss Kael," the man had said, his voice smooth as silk over steel. "My name is Dr. Vorin Lux, and I'm here to offer you a choice." Through the haze of painkillers, Nira saw her mangled arm, saw the damage that no normal surgery could repair. "You can die here," Dr. Lux continued, slowly and painfully over the next few days. "Or you can let me give you something better than what you lost. Something that will make you stronger than you ever imagined." What choice did she have? She was 17. She was dying. And this stranger was offering her a miracle. "What's the catch?" she had whispered. Dr. Lux smiled. "No catch, just an opportunity. The opportunity to become extraordinary." Liar. 3 years later, sitting in her cramped apartment above a noodle shop, Nira stares at the phantom arm in the dim light. Something has been bothering her lately. Little glitches. Moments where the arm moves just slightly before her brain tells it to. Moments where she feels like someone else is pulling the strings. So she does what any paranoid street fighter would do. She hacks into the old clinic's database. It takes her 6 hours and 3 different encryption breakers, but finally she's in. And what she finds makes her blood run cold. Project Phantom Born, file after file of experimental data, test subjects, failure rates, and at the center of it all, her own medical records. But they're dated 6 months before her accident. 6 months before. Her hands shake as she scrolls through the documents. Neural mapping, genetic compatibility assessments, psychological profiles. Everything about her was studied, cataloged, analyzed, like she was a specimen in a lab. And then she sees the signature at the bottom of every document. The man who authorized Project Phantom Born. The man who funded the research. The man who selected her as the perfect candidate. Nira Kael, her father. The room spins, the walls close in. Everything she thought she knew about her life crumbles like a house of cards in a hurricane. Her accident wasn't an accident. The clinic wasn't charity. The phantom arm wasn't salvation. It was all part of a plan. But why? What could her father possibly want with a daughter he abandoned? What was Project Phantom Born really about? The answers come from the most unlikely source, a name buried deep in the encrypted files. Another subject who escaped the program, a survivor, Nira Kael. Finding someone who doesn't want to be found in a city like Helion is like looking for a specific grain of sand on a beach. But Nira has advantages that most people don't. The phantom arm gives her access to restricted networks. Her street connections reach into every dark corner of the city, and she's desperate enough to take risks that would make sane people run. It takes 3 days of following dead-end leads and greasing palms with what little money she has. 3 days of sleeping in doorways and eating scraps from dumpsters because she can't risk going home. Finally, a junkie named Snake gives her what she needs. Nira Kael. Yeah, I know that name. Industrial Sector 7, abandoned factory with the broken neon sign. But lady, you don't want to go there. That place is haunted. Haunted, right. The factory sits like a cancer in the middle of a dead zone. Broken windows stare down like empty eye sockets. Graffiti covers every surface like infected wounds. And somewhere inside, if Snake was telling the truth or the answers Nira needs, she approaches carefully. The phantom arm is powered up and ready. Her real hand grips a plasma knife. Every instinct screams danger. That's when she hears it, a sound like metal scraping against concrete, movement in the shadows. That's far enough, a voice calls out from the darkness. Female, young, deadly. Nira freezes. I'm looking for Nira Kael. Silence stretches like a taut wire. Then movement. A figure emerges from behind a pile of rusted machinery. Early 20s, Asian features, short black hair, and scars. So many scars that it looks like someone used her skin as a canvas for a nightmare. But it's her arm that makes Nira's breath catch. Her right arm, because it's not an arm at all, it's a weapon. A sleek, predatory thing that ends in retractable claws sharp enough to cut through steel. "Who's asking?" the woman says. "My name is Nira Kael, and I think we have the same father." The effect is immediate. Rhea's face goes white. Her weapon arm extends with a sound like a sword being drawn. And for a moment, Nira thinks she's about to die. Then Rhea sees it, the phantom arm, and her expression changes from rage to something much worse. Horror. "Oh God," Rhea whispers, "he got you too." The silence in that abandoned factory feels heavy enough to crush steel. Two women, two weapons where arms should be, two lives destroyed by the same man. Rhea's claws are still extended, trembling with a barely controlled rage. Not at Nira. At the memories that Nira's presence has awakened. "How long have you had it?" Rhea asks, her voice barely above a whisper. 3 years, Nira replies, flexing the fingers of her phantom arm. "You have aimed." 5. Rhea's laugh is bitter as broken glass. 5 years of thinking I was the only one. 5 years of believing I escaped. But you don't escape Project Phantom Born, do you? You just get relocated. Nira takes a step closer and Rhea immediately tenses. That's when Nira notices something else. Rhea isn't just scarred, she's malnourished, exhausted, living like a hunted animal. "Why are you hiding?" Nira asks. "Because they're always watching." Rhea's eyes dart to the broken windows above. "The moment you got that arm, you became their property, a weapon in their arsenal. And when the time comes, they'll activate you whether you want it or not." The words hit Nira like a physical blow. "Activate me? What are you talking about?" Rhea studies her for a long moment, as if deciding whether Nira can handle the truth. Finally, she sighs and retracts her claws. "Sit down," she says, gesturing to a rusted shipping container. "Because what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything you think you know about yourself." They sit across from each other in the dim light filtering through broken skylights. Rhea's story unfolds like a horror movie played in reverse, each revelation worse than the last. "I was 16 when they took me," Rhea begins, "living on the streets of New Shanghai. Got caught stealing medical supplies from my sick brother. Instead of prison, they offered me a deal. Experimental surgery to fix my damaged spine in exchange for participation in a research program." Her voice gets distant, like she's watching it happen to someone else. "Dr. Lux was there. Always Dr. Lux, charming, persuasive. He made it sound like I was joining something important, something that would help people." Nira's stomach churns. The same man, the same lies. "What they didn't tell me," Rhea continues, "was that the surgery wasn't just to fix my spine. They were installing neural pathways, control mechanisms, turning my nervous system into a remote control device." "That's impossible," Nira protests. "You're sitting here talking to me. You escaped." Rhea's smile is dark. "Did I? Or am I exactly where they want me to be?" The paranoia in her voice is infectious. Suddenly, every shadow in the factory seems to be moving. Every sound could be footsteps. "The phantom arms aren't just weapons," Rhea explains. "They're transmitters, receivers. Each one is connected to a central control system. And when the signal goes out, everyone with an implant becomes a soldier in Nira Kael's private army." Nira stands up abruptly, pacing to the other side of the container. "You're lying. My arm responds to me. I control it. Do you?" Rhea's question cuts through Nira's protests. "Have you ever had moments where it moves before you think about moving it? Times when it seems to anticipate your needs?" The blood drains from Nira's face. Because yes, she has noticed those things. That's the integration process. Rhea continues relentlessly. "The arm learns your patterns, mirrors your movements, until you can't tell where you end, and it begins. And then when you're completely dependent on it, they flip the switch." "Wah," Nira's voice cracks. "Why would my father do this to me?" Rhea's expression softens slightly. "Because you're not his daughter anymore, Nira. You're his prototype." The factory seems to spin around Nira. She grabs onto the container for support, her legs suddenly weak. I spent 2 years investigating after I escaped. Rhea continues, do you know what the Ascension tournament really is? It's not a fighting competition. It's a demonstration, a showcase for potential buyers. Buyers, military contractors, foreign governments, anyone with enough money and a need for enhanced soldiers. Rhea stands up, her scarred face hard as stone. Your father is planning to sell the Phantom Army technology to the highest bidder. But first he needs to prove it works. The pieces fall into place with horrible clarity. The tournament, the global attention, the corporate sponsors. He's going to activate all of us during the final match, Nira whispers. 63 subjects worldwide, Rizia confirms, all with phantom arms, all attending the tournament as competitors, security, or spectators. When the signal goes out, you'll all become his puppets. A living demonstration of perfect soldiers who follow orders without question. Nira thinks about all the fighters she's seen arriving in Helion over the past week. How many of them have cybernetic implants? How many think they're here to compete when they're actually here to be sold? There's more, Rhea says, and somehow her voice gets even darker. The neural pathways don't just control the arm. They rewrite your brain, your personality, your memories. After activation, you won't be Nira Kael anymore. You'll be Phantom Unit 63. The rage that builds in Nira's chest is unlike anything she's ever felt. It burns through her like liquid fire. Her father didn't just abandon her, he turned her into a product. How do I stop it? She asks. You can't. Rhea's answer is flat, final. The only way to break the connection is to remove the arm entirely, and the removal process has a 92% fatality rate. Then I die trying. Or, Rhea says slowly, we find another way. She pulls out a battered tablet, its screen cracked but functional. Lines of code scroll across the display. I've been working on something for 5 years, a virus. Something that can turn their own control system against them. But I need access to the central command server, and that server is inside the tournament arena. Nira looks at the code, understanding maybe half of what she's seeing. What are you saying? I'm saying we crash their party. You go into that tournament as planned. You fight your way to the finals. And when Sarek activates the control signal, we activate our counterstrike. And if it doesn't work, Rhea's smile is sharp as her claws, then at least we go down fighting instead of as slaves. For the first time in years, Nira feels something other than rage. She feels hope, dangerous, desperate hope. What do you need me to do? Rhea reaches into her jacket and pulls out a small device, no bigger than a coin. This is a neural dampener. It'll block the control signal for approximately 10 minutes, long enough for you to upload my virus to their system. She hands the device to Nira, their fingers touching briefly. Rhea's skin is cold as ice. But Nira, she says, her voice serious, once you activate this, there's no going back. Sarek will know you are free. He'll throw everything he has at you, and some of those things used to be human. Nira pockets the device without hesitation. Let him come. I've got 17 years of anger to work through. Good. Rhea steps back into the shadows. The tournament starts tomorrow. Registration closes at midnight. And Nira, when you see your father in that arena, remember something. What? He created you to be the perfect weapon, but he forgot the most important thing about weapons. Rhia's eyes glint in the darkness. They're only as loyal as the hand that wields them. As Nira leaves the factory, she doesn't look back. She can't afford to. Because tomorrow she enters the most dangerous tournament in human history, not as Nira Kael's daughter, not as Phantom Unit 63, as herself, and she's going to remind her father why that's the most terrifying thing of all. The Colosseum of Helion rises from the city center like a metallic beast breathing fire and light. 50,000 seats packed with screaming spectators. Corporate logos blazing across digital billboards that stretch toward the clouds. And somewhere in the depths of this technological cathedral, the most dangerous game in human history is about to begin. Nira stands in the fighter preparation tunnel, listening to the crowd's roar wash over her like a tidal wave of sound. Around her, 62 other competitors stretch, meditate, or stare at weapons that could level city blocks. But all she can focus on is the neural dampener hidden in her glove. 10 minutes. That's all she'll have when the moment comes. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice booms across the arena. Welcome to the Ascension Tournament, where legends are born and the strongest rise to claim their destiny. The crowd erupts, fireworks explode overhead. Holographic displays show highlights from previous years, each more brutal than the last. But Nira knows this isn't entertainment. This is a weapons demonstration disguised as sport. Her first opponent is a mountain of a man called Titanium Rex. 8 feet tall, arms like tree trunks, cybernetic implants covering half his skull. He grins at her as they enter the ring, revealing teeth that have been replaced with titanium fangs. "Nothing personal, little girl," he rumbles, "but I got bills to pay." The bell rings. Rex charges like a freight train, his massive fists whistling through the air, where Nira's head was a split second before. She dances around him, her phantom arm moving with liquid grace. Every movement calculated, every strike precise. She spots it immediately. The telltale shimmer of neural implants along his spine. Rex isn't just enhanced, he's part of the program. "You feel it, don't you?" she whispers as she ducks under another massive swing. The arm moving before you tell it to. Rex's eyes widen with confusion and fear. But before he can answer, Nira's phantom arm drives through his defenses. One strike to the solar plexus. He drops like a felled tree. The crowd goes wild, but Nira barely hears them. Because as she looks around the arena, she's counting. How many fighters have the same subtle glow of cybernetic enhancement? How many are unknowing weapons waiting for activation? 23. She counts 23 enhanced fighters in just the first round. The second round brings a speed fighter whose legs have been replaced with carbon fiber springs that let her move faster than the human eye can track. But speed means nothing when your opponent knows where you're going to be before you do. The third round is Deadshot Morrison, whose right arm is an integrated plasma cannon that can punch holes through tank armor. He never gets the chance to fire it. With each victory, Nira moves closer to the center of the arena, closer to the command center, closer to her father. But she's also moving closer to the activation signal. Between rounds, she catches glimpses of the tournament's true purpose. Corporate executives in private boxes watching the fights with the cold calculation of buyers examining merchandise. Military officials taking notes on combat effectiveness. And everywhere, security cameras recording every movement, every technique, every display of enhanced human capability. "Impressive work out there," a familiar voice says behind her. Nira spins around to find Dr. Voron Luck standing in the tunnel, his expensive lab coat replaced by an equally expensive suit. He looks exactly the same as he did 3 years ago. Same predatory smile, same dead eyes. "How does it feel?" he asks. "The phantom arm, better than what you lost, isn't it?" "It feels like a leash." Nira replies, her voice ice cold. Dr. Luck laughs. "Clever girl. But leashes work both ways. They restrain, yes, but they also connect. And soon you'll understand the true beauty of that connection." He starts to walk away, then pauses. "Your father is very proud, you know. You've exceeded all projections. You're going to be magnificent." The words make Nira's skin crawl, but they also confirm what she already suspected. The activation signal is coming soon. Round after round, she fights her way through the brackets, each opponent more dangerous than the last, each victory bringing her closer to the finals. And with each step, she feels the phantom arm growing more responsive, more integrated with her nervous system. It's learning, adapting, preparing. Meanwhile, 3 miles away in an abandoned subway tunnel, Rhea Vale sits surrounded by multiple computer screens, her fingers dancing across keyboards as she monitors every signal coming out of the arena. "Come on," she whispers to herself, watching the data streams. "Show me what you're really planning." That's when she sees it, a massive spike in the background radiation around the arena. Power grids rerouting to support some kind of massive transmission. And buried in the data, a countdown timer. 47 minutes until the finals begin. 47 minutes until activation. She immediately starts typing a message on her secure channel to Nira. But before she can send it, her screens flicker. Go black. Then display a single message in blood-red text. "Hello, Rhea. Miss me, SK." Her blood turns to ice. Sarek knows where she is. Back in the arena, Nira has just finished her semifinal match against a fighter called the Surgeon, whose hands have been replaced with medical implements sharp enough to perform operations through combat. She's bleeding from a dozen small cuts, but she's alive. He's not. As she walks back to the preparation area, her enhanced hearing picks up something that makes her freeze. Radio chatter from security personnel. Target acquired in Sector 7, moving to neutralize. Confirmed, package is in position for extraction. Remember, Mr. Kael wants her alive. They've found Rhea. Nira's hand moves to the neural dampener hidden in her glove. Every instinct screams at her to activate it now, to run, to find another way. But if she runs now, Rhea dies. And in less than an hour, 63 enhanced humans become unwilling soldiers in her father's private army. Final round, the announcer bellows. Ladies and gentlemen, our championship match in the blue corner, fighting out of the underground circuits of Neo-Tokyo, the Phantom Blade, herself Nira Kael. The crowd roars its approval as she steps into the arena one last time. But she barely hears them. Because standing across from her, perfectly calm and impossibly confident, is her father, Nira Kael. He looks older than she remembers. Gray touches his temples. Lines mark his face. But his eyes are the same. Cold, calculating, utterly without mercy. Hello, daughter. He says, his voice carrying easily across the arena despite the crowd noise. You've grown up beautifully. No thanks to you, she spits back. He smiles. On the contrary, everything you are, everything you've become is thanks to me, the training, the opponents, the crucible that forged you into the perfect weapon. Did you really think any of it was coincidence? The words hit her like physical blows. The gang fight that cost her arm, the specific clinic she was taken to, even her training with Veshin, all of it orchestrated. But why, she asks, why go through all this? Sarek's smile widens. Because the world is changing, Nira, and those who control the future of human enhancement will rule that new world. But first, potential buyers need proof that the technology works. They need to see it in action. He gestures to the crowd, to the cameras, to the corporate executives watching from their private boxes. In 3 minutes, I will send a signal that will activate every Phantom unit in this arena. They will follow my orders without question, without hesitation. And the world will see that Nira Kael has created the ultimate soldiers. And me, you, my dear daughter, will be my greatest triumph, the prototype who finally comes home. The countdown timer on the arena's main display shows 2 minutes and 37 seconds until the finals officially begin. But Nira knows that's not what it's really counting down to. It's counting down to the moment she stops being human. Her hand closes around the neural dampener. 10 minutes. She has 10 minutes to upload Rhea's virus to the central command system. 10 minutes to turn her father's own technology against him. But first she has to survive the next 2.5 minutes. You know what your biggest mistake was? She tells her father as the final countdown begins. Enlighten me. Nira's phantom arm begins to glow with power. You taught me to fight, but you never taught me to lose. The bell rings, and the real battle begins. The arena falls silent except for the hum of 50,000 held breaths. Father and daughter circle each other like predators, each waiting for the other to make the first move. Above them, the countdown timer reads 1 minute and 43 seconds. Sarek moves first. He's fast. Faster than any man his age should be. His strikes come in precise combinations, each one designed to disable rather than kill. He wants her alive for the activation. But Nira is faster. Her phantom arm deflects his attacks with inhuman precision, while her real hand draws the plasma knife from her belt. The blade ignites with a sound like tearing silk. Impressive, Sarek says, dodging the knife thrust by millimeters. But you're holding back, fighting defensively. That's not how I trained you. You didn't train me, Nira snarls, pressing her attack. Veshin did. Veshin works for me, daughter. He always has. The words hit her like a physical blow. Her rhythm falters. Sarek's fist connects with her ribs, sending her sliding across the arena floor. 1 minute and 18 seconds. As Nira rolls to her feet, she sees movement in the crowd. Security forces wearing the same neural enhancement markers as the fighters. They're not just planning to activate the competitors. They're planning to activate everyone. The plasma knife spins from her grip as Sarek's next attack disarms her, but the phantom arm catches the blade midair and redirects it in a movement so fluid it looks like dance. Beautiful, Sarek breathes genuine admiration in his voice. You see, the integration is perfect. You and the arm are becoming one entity. 57 seconds. That's when Nira feels it. A warmth spreading through the neural pathways in her spine. The phantom arm growing heavier, more responsive, like it's waking up. The activation sequence has already begun. She has maybe 30 seconds before the neural dampener becomes her only salvation. But using it now means abandoning Rhea, abandoning the virus, abandoning any chance of stopping her father's plan. I can see it in your eyes. Sarek says no longer attacking, just watching, waiting. The moment of connection, when you stop fighting the arm and accept what you've become. 38 seconds. Nira's vision starts to blur around the edges. The crowd noise fades to a distant hum, but through the neural static she hears something impossible. Rhea's voice transmitted directly to her enhanced hearing through a frequency only someone with cybernetic implants could detect. Nira, can you hear me? I'm in the building. Sub-basement level. I found their central server. 29 seconds. The virus is ready. Rhea continues, her voice crackling with interference. But I need you to create a distraction, something big enough to overload their monitoring systems. Nira looks around the arena, at the cameras, at the corporate executives, at the thousands of spectators who have no idea they're about to witness the birth of a slave army. Something big enough to overload their systems. She has an idea, a terrible, desperate idea. 18 seconds. Instead of activating the neural dampener, Nira does something her father never expected. She surrenders to the phantom arm. The sensation is overwhelming, like drowning in electricity. Every nerve ending in her body lights up as the cybernetic limb fully integrates with her nervous system. But instead of fighting it, she guides it, controls it, turns it into a conduit for her own will. 12 seconds. Yes, Sarek whispers, his eyes gleaming with triumph. Accept your purpose, daughter. Become what you were meant to be. But Nira isn't accepting anything. She's stealing. Using the phantom arm's connection to the central command system, she pulls every bit of processing power she can access. Every camera feed, every security protocol, every piece of data flowing through the arena's network. And then she redirects it all into a single devastating feedback loop. 6 seconds, the arena's lights flicker. Screens go black. The crowd murmurs in confusion as the technological marvel around them begins to fail. What are you doing? Sarek demands. Something you never taught me. Nira replies, her voice eerily calm. How to break your own chains. 3 seconds. In the sub-basement, Rhea's fingers fly across her keyboard as every security protocol in the building crashes simultaneously. The central server, overwhelmed by Nira's feedback attack, drops its defenses. Got it, she whispers, uploading the virus. Come on, you beautiful piece of cum. Do your job. 2 seconds. 1. The activation signal fires. For a split second, every enhanced individual in the arena freezes. Their eyes go blank. Their bodies become rigid as the control programs attempt to take hold. But instead of obedience, chaos erupts. Rhea's virus, now embedded in the control system, doesn't just block the activation signal. It reverses it. Every command meant to enslave becomes a command to rebel. Every neural pathway meant to create soldiers creates revolutionaries instead. The enhanced security forces turn on their corporate masters. The modified fighters attack the tournament officials. And in the center of it all, Nira Kael stands over her father with the plasma knife at his throat. You created the perfect weapon, she tells him, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's failing sound system. But you forgot the most important lesson in military history. Sarek's face is white with shock and rage. What's that? Never give your enemy better weapons than you have. Around them, the arena burns with the light of revolution. Enhanced humans who minutes ago were slaves now fight for their freedom. Corporate executives flee in panic. Military officials destroy evidence as fast as they can. But Nira doesn't move, doesn't strike the killing blow, because looking down at her father, she realizes something. Killing him won't fix what he broke, won't heal what he damaged. won't bring back the 17 years of abandonment and manipulation. You know what the difference is between us? She asks, pulling the knife away from his throat. What I choose who I become. She turns and walks away, leaving Nira Kael alone in the ruins of his empire. As the arena empties and sirens wail in the distance, Nira finds Rhea waiting for her near the emergency exits. The other woman is battered and bleeding but alive. So, Rhea says with a grin that transforms her scarred face, what do we do now? Nira looks back at the chaos they've created, at the enhanced humans helping each other escape, at the corporate masters who thought they could buy and sell human souls, learning that some things can't be owned. Now we make sure this never happens again, she says. There are other facilities, other programs, other children being turned into weapons. You want to start a war? I want to finish one. As they disappear into the neon-lit streets of Helion, the last thing the arena's cameras capture before going completely dark is a message burned into the main display screen. The Phantom Army rises, but we rise for ourselves. And in boardrooms across the globe, executives who thought they'd just purchased the future of warfare realize they've created something far more dangerous. They've created hope. And that's our story, folks. The girl who was built to win but was never meant to survive, who discovered that the most powerful weapon isn't the one grafted to your body, but the one that lives in your heart. If this tale of rebellion and redemption grabbed you by the throat and didn't let go, do me a favor. Smash that like button like Nira smashed her father's empire. Subscribe if you want more stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. And drop a comment below telling me what you thought of Nira's journey. Because in a world where technology threatens to own our souls, sometimes the most human thing we can do is choose to remain ourselves. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight.